I'm not sure if the rest of this segment answered Cenk's original question better, but this YouTube video does not fully address the original question which Cenk asked, which was, should progressives support Ron? First of all, I think we all need to make that decision for ourselves, but if this video really wants to help us answer that question, it should be a compare and contrast between our options, not just mention how Ron is not progressive. I think we're all well aware that Ron is not a liberal candidate. But the main question we need to ask ourselves is whether he's better or worse than Obama. If you've been listening to TYT for a while now, I think you should be well aware that Obama has done a pretty terrible job of representing and promoting liberal and progressive ideas. So the question, is Ron better than Obama for progressives, is not a trivial question and unfortunately not one that this video properly addresses. An important thing to keep in mind is what powers Ron will actually be given if in fact he is elected president. A quick visit to Wikipedia will inform you that as head of the executive branch, he will be the head of the government, the foreign minister, and the commander-in-chief. As head of the government, he is responsible for running the functions of the state, managing the bureaucracy, and deciding on how to enforce laws. As far as running the functions of the state, I think Ron takes his job very seriously, obviously, and is one of the few politicians who is incorruptible. So in that aspect, I think he'd be great. Managing the bureaucracy is probably where I'm the most concerned. Ron will surely gut the bureaucracy pretty dramatically, and so this is where progressives should be the most concerned. As far as deciding how to enforce the laws, Ron's strong belief in civil liberties will certainly shine through here, and he is certainly the better choice in this regard, as recent events have shown. As the foreign minister, he will be in charge of our foreign policy. This is overall another area where Ron looks like a good choice from a progressive point of view. Although he does have a few shortcomings, like his stance on foreign aid and a couple others, but as a whole, his ideas on foreign policy are quite reasonable from a progressive's perspective. Finally, as commander-in-chief, he is in charge of the military. Again, this is another place where Ron looks like an amazing candidate. He would gut the military-industrial complex, try to drastically reduce how much we spend on the military, and get us out of the mess we're in the Middle East. So as far as the three primary roles he would have as head of the executive branch, I think overall he's a good choice in the eyes of progressives. Certainly not perfect or ideal by any means, but better than our other options. Most of Ron's views, which are extremely conservative, like his views on the economy and taxes, are what liberals should be most concerned about. Fortunately, in order for him to drastically change these policies, he has to go through Congress. So Congress should help keep him in check on a lot of his more extreme conservative views. So in summary, the aspects where he's liked by liberals and progressives, his support of civil liberties, most of his foreign policy, and his stance on the military, are the areas where he will have almost complete control over as head of the executive branch. The aspects where he's terrible from a liberal and progressive point of view are the areas where he has to go through Congress. Granted, I don't like the idea of supporting someone who has views very counter to my own in so many areas, and the idea of depending on Congress to save us sounds ridiculous and scary. But maybe their ability to not pass anything could be a saving grace for once. Although, if we elected a bunch of congressional representatives from the left in the next election, that would be even better. Ron's liberal views would be supported by the Congress, and his conservative views would be blocked by a mostly liberal Congress. We'd get all the good with very little of the bad. So let me just say in closing that I am not crazy about Ron Paul. He is far from my ideal candidate. What I would really like is the chance to vote for someone who is a fighter and incorruptible from the left. Unfortunately, that is not an option in the upcoming election, so I have to pick from what's available. Among this limited selection, Ron Paul could quite possibly be the best choice. Although, there's also Buddy Roemer.